The following is not meant for children, has been edited by Cute Stuff, and is brought to you by support from Patreon. Hello, and welcome back. I am MasterAelix, and this is MasterAelix's Build Love Time, or better known as MasterAelix's BLT. The videos in this series are where I go over character builds for some of my favorite RPGs. In this video, I plan to show you, step by step, how to make a character build that I really enjoy and explain why I enjoy it. And hopefully you will too. Now, I like to make fun and flavorful character builds, something that leans into roleplay, ROLE play, instead of ROLL play. However, it never hurts to give yourself, a bit of a numerical advantage from time to time. Now, my way is far from the only way to build characters. This is just one character built in a way that I think is fun. Hopefully, I've done a good enough job that you would want to play this character too. However, feel free to change things to make a character that you want to play. As I go through this build, I'm going to go into detail about what I chose and why I selected the things I do. But what I won't be doing is to read the books to you. First off, that's very boring. And second, doing that removes your need to get your own books. I love these games, and I'd love for you to support these publishers, so buy their books. Now, let's get everything set out, slather up some bread, and get ourselves this BLT.
You assume my distance is to protect the others from me, when in fact it is to protect myself. As long as there is energon, then I shall continue. I have watched over Equestria for over 10,000 moons. I have seen civilizations fall and new ones arise. I have seen my friends' families propagate, some to spread and others to end. I have friends, and if you were to lay a single finger on even one of them, then I shall show you no mercy. I shall travel across the stars to destroy you and everything you care about. Or you can live in peace and friendship. The choice is yours.
Today's BLT is for the Transformers RPG by Renegade Games. Before we get too much further into this character has crossover material from Transformers, G.I. Joe, and My Little Pony. This week's art is once again crafted by Stefano Romano. I'm not gonna lie, this time he really outdid himself. The way he varied the art styles between My Little Pony and Transformers was felt. And if you want some art for yourself, do contact him on X at StarDropkick or on his website, stefanoromano.com. The character for today is Firepower, the fire-breathing dragon. And this bot's alt mode is a fire-breathing dragon from the planet Equestria. Long ago, during the colonization period of Cybertron, hundreds of bots were sent into the galaxy to find new planets and possibly make new friends. Firepower was once such explorer, and when he came across a very colorful planet covered with tiny quadrupedal creatures, well, their kindness and friendship convinced him to stay. He never reported what he found, because by the time he made it to Equestria, the Combiner Wars had begun. So, now he stays, and if anything would threaten his friends, then he'd burn that threat to the ground. Now, let's get building this character, shall we? The books you'll need to get from Renegade Games to make the character as I've laid him out are the Transformers Core Rulebook, Decepticon Directive, the G.I. Joe Core Rulebook, Cobra Codex, the free web crossover material When Worlds Collide Pony Puzzle, and the free MLP bonus material Dragon Origin. Now, let's begin at the beginning, often the very best place to start. Influence. Firepower is already a very complex character, so in an effort to have one thing in place that's slightly less so, I went with just one influence. But the influence Cybertronian Equestrian, found in Pony Puzzle, is key to the whole build. This allows us to use general perks to get Fire Breath and Dragon perks in place of general perks. So we're going to go do that. Origin. As we are converting general perks into dragon perks, we want to get as many as we can, so I went with the origin of Drone from Decepticon Directive. This origin's perk, A Hint of Independence, allows us to grab a perk, but at a cost. The cost I selected is Stress Lock with the fire element. So, when firepower does poorly, he erupts with fire from him, and that's just cool. Well, extremely hot. You know what I mean. With this bonus perk, we shall get the first Dragon perk. Dragon perks are found from the free My Little Pony bonus materials in the Dragon Origin Pack. When you get a Dragon perk, you can select 2 items from the list, and as long as you're of the proper level, you can just get them. So, in addition to getting Fire Breath, the 2 options I selected for level 1 are Intense Breath, which makes the Fire Breath do actual damage beyond narrative ways, and Distant Flame, increasing the range of the Fire Breath attack. As a drone, you select another origin to get the benefits of, and for firepower, well, with a name like Firepower, I had to go with Rainmaker. There's a couple of reasons for this, the first being that this origin gives training in specific weapons that I normally would not get access to. And secondly, in My Little Pony, as dragons get more dragon perks, they grow up. They get larger and they get more interesting things. However, as a Cybertronian Equestrian, this isn't the case. Because Rainmaker gives some level-based bonuses, this is kind of a concession to that idea. He may not get bigger, but his guns sure do. So, he gains the origin perk, The Fiercest Among You, which gives us not only training in machine guns at this level, but a bonus integrated weapon slot, which is just nice. With Drone, you get your choice of essence, which I put into the Strength essence. This allows us to put a point into the Brawn skill. Machine guns require a D2 in Brawn to use, so I wanted to make sure we met that prerequisite as soon as we could. Role. If you're going to make a specifically fire-based character, then the best way I've found is with the Ranger role from G.I. Joe. The base role is very versatile, and it's very focused on wilderness survival at the core. It gives you a Be a Hero perk guide. This is like a Cybertronian perk, but for Joes. You also get environmental expertise, and being a dragon from Equestria, the best one I could think of is mountains. But do talk to your GM. Volcanoes or lava flats would also work, as that's where dragons live. Do keep in mind that you don't get the Yo Joe perk listed in the book, as that is a faction perk, and we'll get our faction perk a little bit later. Ranger gives us a +1 to speed essence, and with the selections available, I went with the targeting skill. We want to have some decent skill in shooting and breathing fire. We also get a +1 to smarts essence, which then lets us get a +1 to their survival skill. This skill is one of the most important to the Ranger role as a whole. Focus. Now the fun can really begin. The role of Firestarter from Cobra Codex is what brings everything together. This focuses perk, Natural Science, is an absolute powerhouse of a perk. Read it carefully, but the main takeaway here is that you're qualified in element jet weapons, and one weapon you have that doesn't have an element trait, such as the Rainmaker's machine gun, gains a free upgrade of Blazing or Boiler. These both add the fire element to a weapon, either melee or ranged. Boiler is also the same as Firestorm upgrade from the Transformers book, so that's fantastic. This focus gives us a +1 to our smarts essence, which then I roll into the survival skill. Natural Silence has a neat trick for the survival skill, so it's good to get more ranks in now. Faction. As an explorer that would use his size to protect those smaller than himself, 100% Firepower is an Autobot. This gives him the perk For the Allspark, which is a great list of smaller bonuses, the best of which is immunity to organic diseases. Gear. Oh man, while I've done some interesting gear slots before, this one stands out as that it has very specific pieces of gear that have just been given to us on a platter. So, for his initial 2 internal hardpoints, I went with an element jet of fire, given to us by the Firestarter focus. In the extra weapons internal slot, I gave him an elemental grenade, which has to be fire. I imagine this is like a hot flaming loogie. Just a napalm booger. It's gross and I love it, plus it's childish enough to totally fit in on Equestria. In his external hardpoints, I went with the Rainmaker's machine gun with the Firestorm boiler upgrades that we get for free from Firestarter. This is a fantastic weapon, especially for early levels. With the expanded weapon selection from all of the above mentioned things, the requisition step for this guy is going to be crazy. It allows for a lot of flexibility, both upgrades and weapons, and since a lot of stuff is covered, you can also think about giving yourself some armor upgrades as well. Essence step. I kinda had to wrestle with this one a little bit as I was pretty indecisive on where I wanted to put things, but this is how it ended up. Now, going with the suggested spread of 4, 3, 3, 2, I put them down as follows. The +4 is going to speed. This is a very important one for us because it holds a great deal of useful skills. The first skills we're putting in is +2 to targeting. This is where most of our weapons are going to be using, and so I wanted to have this be good. The other +2 points I'm putting into initiative because, again, we do not want to have a penalty to initiative, plus having an additional bonus is always nice. The first +3 is being put into strength. Strength is a very important skill for this build because it's where we get our fire breath and a few other things. That being said, I'm putting 2 points into might because that is where our fire breath does its attack, and +1 into athletics because that is where our grenade does its attack. Again, this is a very important essence for us, so I needed to get that +3 in as soon as we could. For the other +3, I put that into social. Social is the slowest gaining essence score for this build, so we needed to get this initial boost, if for no other reason, so we have Energon. Now, what skills to pick is up to you. However, while I was making this character, I was reminded of a very old 1980s or possibly even older cartoon in which a dragon was hiding in an old mine shaft and spent his days watching the rabbits, and for some reason I felt compelled by this, so I put all 3 points into animal handling. But again, this one you can put wherever you like. And for the final +2, I put that into smarts. Smarts is one of the fastest gaining ones, so we'll have many opportunities to raise these skills any further. In this case, the 2 skill points we get, I'm putting a +1 into survival, again leaning into the survival skills of this build, and +1 into alertness. And alertness is one of those skills you definitely don't want to suck that penalty on for being unskilled. Hey, you've made it this far into the video. Thank you for that. Seems like you're liking the video, so please show that you do by hitting the thumbs up button down below. Maybe leave a comment, tell me what you're enjoying. Alright, now that level 1 is out of the way, let's get to the rest of the levels. This time we're going to level 10 to get the complete build. Level 2. Level 2 is where the Interstellar Explorer really kicks in. This level actually grants us 2 perks. The first is Environmental Exposure, which lets you pick from a really excellent list of options. There are so many here, it's just so hard to pick. But in the end, I went with Weapon Upgrade. It totally fits with Firepower, and the upgrade I selected is Deadly. This can be applied to both breath, machine gun, and grenade, so it's a solid choice. The second perk you get is Adaptation, and this is a solid perk. However, it's not that useful at this level, but in the future it will be very handy. Level 2 also gives us a +1 to our speed essence, to which I felt that giving this skill point to targeting would be most appropriate. Level 3. Now this is what I'm talking about. From the ranger role we get the Forage perk, which allows us to easily make kits out of nowhere. It's super handy and really fits with the explorer ankle. From Firestarter we get 2 more perks. In Fireproof, which is sadly redundant, the resistance to fire damage we already gained from being a dragon. But hey, it's better than nothing. But the real awesome thing is the perk Pyromania. This is focused and excellent, giving us a bonus to all fire-based attacks, but a penalty to those without, and since all of our gear makes fire, well, it's a real easy bonus to get. This level also comes with a +1 to Smarts Essence, and for this I'm definitely putting that into the Survival skill. Level 4. Level 4, as always, grants us the General perk. However, this time we're giving it a twist. As per our influence, we can select a Dragon perk, which in turn lets us take 2 improvements. This time I selected Potent Breath to make the Fire Breath attack even more dangerous and interesting, as this lets us do more creative things with it. And Flight. The boy has wings, now he can use them. Level 4 comes with +1 to Strength Essence, which is very nice. This time I'm putting that skill into Brawn. In a few levels we'll want to upgrade the machine gun to a heavy machine gun, so we'll need a D4 in Brawn, and this is the last chance we'll get to that before then. Level 5. Now, leading back into the survivalist angle, this level gives us another use of environmental exposure. This time I went with the option of Tracker, as the now flying dragon can properly hunt down its prey. Tracker also works well with the adaptation we got earlier, which is nice. This level gives us a +1 to Speed Essence, which is always appreciated. The skill for this level I put into is a targeting specialization in fire-based. I know this seems a little redundant, but trust me, next level it'll all make sense. Level 6. Level 6 is one of those levels that really makes a build like this. The perk gained at this level, Concentrated Fire, is so good. That is why I gave Firepower a grenade as an extra weapon. This perk is very potent, and while I'd love to go over every word, the main thing is the last few words. Can score a critical hit on the D2. My god, there's no reason not to love this perk. And we also get a rare treat as a +1 to our Social Essence. Feel free to put that skill point wherever you like, but for this video I'm putting it into Animal Handling. Level 7. This level is very short and sweet. We get to upgrade our Forage perk to work with limited kits instead of standard ones. However, this level is also where our Rainmaker kicks in, and we can get a heavy machine gun. So make sure to upgrade your regular machine gun for a heavy one, and remember to add the free upgrades from Natural Silence and Environmental Adaptation as well. This level grants us another +1 to our Smarts Essence, and wanting to stay aware, I'm putting that skill into Alertness. Level 8 is an odd one because we are again gaining 2 perks. The first comes from the Ranger role, which gives us another environmental exposure option. This time I went with Lookout, because the idea of a large robot dragon doing stealthy ambush attacks just tickles me. We also get a General perk. Now at this point we could take another Dragon perk, but since we already took the ones for fire breathing, there's no real need. So, take your pick. However, for firepower, at this level, I'm taking All Out Attack. Might and Targeting both meet the prerequisites,
so all his weapons except the grenade can benefit from this perk. So with good stats and some inherent bonuses, this can really improve the fire damage output. And on that note, this level gives us a +1 to the strength essence. So I'm going to take this opportunity to increase my might by 1. There is an argument to be made to specialize in might for breath weapons, but I'm going to go with raw dice rolls on this one. Level 9. This level is one that is very dependent on the game that is being run. The perk we get is Environmental Expertise, again, letting us pick a second environment. So, depending on where your story goes, will determine the best one to pick. For the video, I'm leaving it open, because it's so hard to determine which one is best. This level also grants us a +1 to the speed essence, and I want to put that into targeting. Really lean into the destructive power of the heavy machine gun. Level 10. Oh man, this is the level I have been waiting for. The perk gained, Ignite, is just wonderful and terrible. It makes it so your fire attacks can deal extra damage at the end of your target's turn, and to add insult to injury, the enemies suffer some penalties for, being on fire. This combos excellently with the fire breath that you get even as a baby dragon, so this just thematically works fantastic. Also, keep in mind your natural science perk when you use this feature. Level 10 also grants us a +1 to the smarts essence, which I put into the survival skill, which directly helps Ignite. And at this point, for what I wanted for firepower, I'm done. When I set out to make this character, the goal was to make something fun. At first it was just, what could I do to add more crossover content? And with Transformers, G.I. Joes, and My Little Pony all being mixed together, that goal was more than well met. But as I narrowed things down, I really started to fall in love with the build and its possibilities. I will admit there was some questions to be raised, like, as a Rainmaker and a Cybertronian Equestrian Dragon, what size am I? But from what I gather when I asked around, as a robot and not a dragon, you don't have to worry about the dragon size changing thing that they grow up, as bots don't grow up like that. Alternatives. There's a few interesting alternatives out there, the easiest being to drop the My Little Pony parts. A Rainmaker Firestarter is a wicked combo. The fire breathing only added more fire to the mix, but without needing the dragon perks, you can also free up space for other general perks. There's also an alternative out there for a Maximal style, just by adding that influence in as well. It would make for an excellent good guy Megatron, and further explain the drone part of their origin. But also, if you want to go full My Little Pony, you could very easily go with a full-on dragon origin, and then the Ranger Firestarter roll and focus pairs so well. This is why I love crossover content. You get to find all these little unintentional synergies, and then have some variation on them. Well, with all of that being said, here's where I'm going to say, thank you all for joining me. Please remember to like, comment, and of course subscribe. It's a little click for you, but a really big deal for me, and I greatly appreciate everyone who does. If you have enjoyed this video, do check out the links below to find links to the artist, my editor, my merch market, and of course my Patreon campaign, where you can get yourself a variety of rewards, including early access to all my videos. Thank you all for joining me, and I shall see you all on the next one. And I'd like to give a special shout out to all my patrons who help make these videos possible. Aaron Smith, Brian Pelfrey, Chris Armstrong, Dennis Detman, Harry Thompson, and Mark Milius. Thank you all so much for your contributions. I wouldn't have this channel without you. Thank you very much.